like so many of my videos, this is brought up by seeing a particular, what I would consider an error in reasoning that has come up multiple times in multiple conversations across multiple platforms. And I want to address it here. Does hiding information from players cause tension? Does it cause narrative tension? Does it cause, nervousness? Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen because I don't know what the enemy's defense number is, or I don't know what the DC for this role is. Does that work? I would posit that it does not. I've had this conversation. It often comes up when I start talking about like player agency and, how much information to share as a GM for games like D&D, mainly D&D, and I think Lancer as well. There aren't really hard rules on how much information to give players. Do you tell them what the enemy's defense stat is before they roll? Do you let them know what the enemy's bonus to attack is? These kinds of things. You tell them how many hit points the enemy has. These sorts of things are things that like the game doesn't really define. Like, is that player accessible information or is it hidden? I am pretty much always on the side of the fence that says share that information with players. Give the players as much information as they want. So like when I'm running D&D, I don't necessarily volunteer these numbers, but if the player asks, I will tell them. I'll give them general stats, like this is a minion, this is a normal, this is an elite, that kind of thing. And then if they want to know how many hit points something has or how many it has left, I will tell them. And I do this because I find, this is my personal experience, but I think it kind of holds true for a lot of people, that knowing more information about the situation is what drives tension. A lack of information does not drive tension, not for me. When I was playing through Pathfinder 2nd Edition, this is a game where information is explicitly hidden unless you do certain actions to find that information. And I'm not even 100% sure. I did not look into the rules for studying monsters. I don't know if there's a way to get a specific value, or if you can only be told what what's their highest defense or what's their lowest defense, that kind of thing. I didn't look into that. The way it was run was we just did not know. We would be told if our attacks hit or missed. We were not at any point told what the target number was. We never knew what enemy ACs were or anything like that. We also did not know what their bonus was. We only were told their total attack results. As a result of this, I never had good context for what's a good attack roll at any given level. I don't know what my chances of hitting are, which I found reduced my investment in the situation. I don't know what my odds of hitting are, what my odds of success are in any given roll, because I'm not told the target number. And as a result, I don't know if I'm, stretched to the limits on this. I don't know if this should be something that is easy for me. I don't know. I have a lack of information, a lack of awareness of the situation, and therefore a lack of investment. As a player, I stop caring about things that feel random because I have no control over them. I have no knowledge of them. I'm just rolling a die. I'm giving a number, and it feels, from my perspective, and I know it isn't. But from my perspective, it feels random and arbitrary. Not because of this, but sort of following from that, I have found that giving out information improves a player's sense of agency. It helps them feel like they understand the situation better. If they come up to a monster and it's oh, well, its AC, they're gonna I want to attack this guy. All right, its AC is 39. Hey, 39, you say? Maybe we won't. That kind of thing. And these are abstractions anyways. Hit points, AC, other defenses, attack bonuses. These are abstractions of things that do exist in the world, a monster that is particularly tough will appear tough or will have some sort of indication that it is difficult to harm meaningfully. And these are things that players can absolutely pick up on, or not, that the characters can actually pick up. Things that the player characters can actually pick up on. Made it. First try. When if you're on my server, you know that I do fencing. I post pictures and videos about it sometimes. I talk about it sometimes. When I am going up against an enemy fencer, I don't have to do like lots and lots of attacks to see what works, to understand how good of a defense my opponent has. Usually, I get a pretty good sense. Like I'm ballparking and narrowing it in, just watching their stance, watching how they move, watching their confidence. These are all elements that I can pick up on to get an immediate sense of how competent is my opponent before any exchange of blows has happened, just by watching them. And I'm not even that good, like that's something that a rank amateur like me can do. So if you translate that over to D&D, where you have these are professional heroes and warriors and adventurers who deal with this stuff every day and their lives depend on it. They should be much better at assessing enemies than I am as a hobby fencer, right? That follows, right? So, like, there isn't an in-universe explanation for why characters should not know what numbers that they're targeting. And there isn't an out-of-universe explanation because people say, like, oh, well, hiding the numbers makes it feel, it drives tension. It does not. For me, like, maybe it does for some people. Maybe, like, having no knowledge of what the chances are, they can imagine, oh, this might be really hard to do. I cannot wrap my mind around the mindset that would be required for no knowledge or lack of knowledge to be tense, to drive that tension. I do not understand it, and I can't get behind it. And that is not how I run games. I don't want to call it a fallacy because maybe this is appropriate for some people. It would only be a fallacy if it was universally wrong. And I can't say with confidence that it is universally wrong. But what I am saying is that this is something that GMs and players should figure out amongst each other. And I think before you come to a decision, you should try running it both ways. I have tried running it as hidden information, the way that D&D is classically done. And I have tried it with very open information. I found that I, by far, prefer open information over hidden information, both as a GM and as a player. As a player, it drives investment. As a GM, it just feels like open and honest. Like, it's a relief to me not to have to hide this information, So yeah, that's like it. Like I said, there isn't a universal yes or no right answer to this, but this is just my experiences, and I think more people should try it this way because I think there's some real tangible benefits for a lot of people. I cannot be alone in this. I don't even think I'm the minority. I think this might be a very normal way to feel about games and information and, the public or hiddenness thereof. So, I think that maybe I'll do a whole video on like GMing best practices, like the way, like general broad principles for running RPGs. If I were, this would be one of them. I'd probably just refer back to this video. But yeah, I think less hidden information. Now, some games do like specifically have means for finding out this information. It's like part of the game. Monster of the Week isn't almost entirely about like finding out information about the monster you are assumed not to know. That's different. I'm talking about games where it is not specified whether players know or do not know about monster stats. Specifically like D&D, Pathfinder, Lancer, these kinds of things. These sort of heavy, crunchy games, they're kind of tactical combat. And frankly, speaking of, combat gets a lot more tactical when you are acting on information instead of guessing. So, consider that.